My whole head's cut off. Let's raise that up a little bit. Why don't we? There we go. That's much better. All right. So, guys, we're going to get into the show pretty quick today. Today, we are talking about mistakes you need to avoid if you want to build top-notch conditioning. Quick reminder, the goal of this show is to help athletes. So if you or someone you know is an up-and-coming athlete trying to reach new levels in their sport, share the show with them. Share the live stream with them as you tune in. I hope you're having a fantastic day. We're going to get going with the show right away. So we're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I am your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we are talking about the 3 mistakes to avoid if you want to build top-notch conditioning. So the reason that we're talking about this today is because, plain and simple, guys, there's a bunch of really shitty coaches out there that teach you dog shit tactics that do not help, because they maybe used to be an athlete or they read a book one time or any of this kind of shit. And what I need you to understand before we get into the details is whatever you do to build your conditioning, you're probably going to see some result. You go do some cardio, your cardio is going to improve. But the goal of this show is to help athletes build their dream careers in sport. And to build your dream career, you need the best level of conditioning that we can build for you. So my goal here is not to teach you how to get a little bit of a result with conditioning. My goal here is to teach you how to build the best fucking conditioning you could possibly ask for when you compete. So mistake #1 when it comes to building your dream conditioning, building the conditioning you need to compete at the highest level, mistake #1 that you need to avoid is you need to stop just doing random shit. The amount of athletes I talk to that their conditioning program is, I fit runs in when I can. Guys, like, that's not anything. That's like if you're trying to get good at your sport and you say, well, I train when when I'm in the mood. It's not fucking work. And again, if you do anything at all, are you going to potentially see some improvements? Sure. But you need more of a plan. And the reason I hear a lot of people say that they don't have a real conditioning plan and they just kind of fit it in when they're able is I hear people tell me things like, well, I'm busy and so I need to make sure that I prioritize my skills training. And yes, that's true. Your skills training is very important. But what you guys need to understand is your gas tank, your conditioning, your strength. That's what allows you to execute the skills. If you don't have strength and you don't have cardio, you can't execute the skills. So you can have all the skills in the world, but if you're not strong enough to implement them against the opponent that you're facing in the fight, they're not very useful, are they? So you need to prioritize your conditioning. Now, again, I understand athletes have a lot on their plates. I understand you guys are very busy. You're training a lot. You got a lot of other things that you need to do. So within that, understand you don't need to prioritize conditioning every single day, but you need a routine and you need to stay consistent with it. I have some athletes that do as little as 2 strength and conditioning sessions a week, but they do 2 strength and conditioning sessions a week every single week, no matter what, and they don't miss. So those guys, even though they're not doing as much strength and conditioning as some other guys might do, they're super consistent with it. And it's planned every single week to work on the weaknesses that they have, build the strengths that they have, and put the best versions of them into the cage every single time they compete. And those guys are both crushing it in their careers. So instead of just going in and doing random shit and fitting it in when you can, that is the first mistake you need to avoid. What you need is a plan. So stop just doing random shit. Actually have a plan of how you're going to build your conditioning if you actually want to take it to the next level and you don't want half-ass results. Mistake #2 that you need to avoid is you need to stop just sparring for conditioning. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand the live rounds are important. You need experience within the sport. You need to work on your conditioning through sparring as well, how to breathe through certain movements, all those things. But if all you're doing for your sparring is conditioning, you're leaving massive amounts of results on the table. Because I have athletes tell me all the time, oh, but sparring is the best conditioning because it's just like a fight. Yes, but that's using your cardio, not building your cardio. right? Like when you go on a road trip, this is the analogy I always love using for conditioning. When you go on a road trip, you don't just use the gas that you have in the car, you also refuel the gas so that you can go for longer, right? So it's the same kind of idea. The gas that's in the car right now is the gas you're using while you're sparring, but then adding in a properly structured plan to help improve that is like stopping at the gas station, refueling so that you can continue to train at a high level. But if you're just beating yourself up all the time, putting your body through high levels of impact, not doing strength work to reinforce your joints, not doing extra focused conditioning work to improve your weaker areas, you've got massive limitations on the success you're going to be able to have. So stop just sparring for conditioning, understand the energy system demands that are going to be placed on you within your sport. If you want to learn how to understand those more, I have some good resources on that, but you should also check out Joel Jamieson's Ultimate MMA Conditioning. Even if you're not an MMA fighter, best resource on conditioning I've ever read in my life. I'll say that one more time. Joel Jamieson's Ultimate MMA Conditioning. Go check it out. You won't regret it. So understand the energy system demands on your sport that are going to be placed upon you while competing in your sport, and create a plan to actually focus on improving those energy systems if you want good conditioning results and you want to avoid the half-assed conditioning you have right now. Now, the third and final mistake that you need to avoid making when it comes to your conditioning is you need to stop avoiding the weight room. People think for some reason that lifting weights is going to make you slow. And like this has been disproven 47 million different times. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but this has been widely disproven. This is not believed by anybody with any real knowledge on the subject. If you're lifting weights and you're feeling like you're getting slower, you're lifting weights wrong. It's not that the tool itself is bad, it's that you don't understand how to use it. So you need to hit the weight room. And the reason you need to hit the weight room is that strength is your foundation. Every movement you make, every time you throw a jab, the movement from your leg through your torso, through your arm that threw that jab required strength. So if you build that strength up higher, now every time you do that, it's going to require less of your overall strength. And because it requires less of your overall strength, you're able to do it more often. If you're able to do it more often and waste less energy, you have better cardio within your fight without actually doing any cardio. So the other way that I always like to describe strength work for fighters is think about it like this. When you build a house, and whether you know anything about construction or not, you should hopefully know this. When you build a house, the house needs a foundation. You don't just throw 4 walls into a pile of dirt and then put a roof on top. You need a concrete foundation under the building or the building is going to fall down. That's like your muscles for your body. If your muscles are not strong, they are not able to take as much impact. And if your muscles aren't able to take as much impact, then let's say you throw a shot and you jam your shoulder a little bit weird, that shoulder's popping out. What's stopping that shoulder from popping out is the strength that you have hopefully built within your shoulder joint. So by building strength, we're reinforcing the foundation of our body. So those little nagging injuries and little nagging pains that athletes so often feel, you don't have to feel anymore. And when you're not feeling those pains anymore, or those injuries anymore, what starts to happen, your body starts to feel better. You start to feel stronger. And as you start to feel better and stronger, now you're getting hurt less. And if you're getting hurt less, you're able to train harder, you're able to train for longer, and in turn, you're able to succeed more within the fights themselves. So guys, that is it. That is all. The big things I want you to take away from this is if you want truly special conditioning, if you want conditioning that's making people turn their heads, that's making you succeed at higher levels in your fights, you got to remember these 3 things. Number 1, make sure that you actually have a plan on how you're building your conditioning. Random hard bullshit supersets or random runs when you can fit them in do not affect your ability to fight the same level as 2 to 3 structured sessions per week built around the energy system demands that are going to be placed on you while you're in competition. Number 2 is you need to stop just sparring. Yes, sparring is going to help your cardio, but what are we trying to do here? Have not bad cardio, or have really fucking good cardio so that you can compete at the highest levels and continue to succeed. Hopefully, you're trying to have really fucking good cardio, because if you're not trying to do that, then I don't know why you're fighting, because that would be a pretty dangerous thing for you. So have an actual structured plan outside of the skills training that you're doing. And again, this doesn't have to be every single day. You don't have to be doing hours and hours of conditioning. You can break it down to be very simple to fit into your week, but you just need to learn how to do it correctly. If you want to learn how to do that correctly, shameless plug, shoot me a DM. We can talk about training programs, because that's something that I specialize in with my athletes. The best possible results in the least amount of time. Now, number 3, you need to stop avoiding the weight room. Being weaker is not going to make you faster. Being weaker is not going to make you more explosive. Power comes from a base of strength. Speed comes from a base of strength. If you feel like you're lifting weights and you're getting slower or you're not getting faster, it's because you're training wrong. It does not mean that weights are a bad tool. You're just not using the tool correctly. The goal isn't to be a bodybuilder and pack on 120 pounds of muscle. The goal is to get your body functioning at the highest possible level you can. The goal is to get as much strength built into your body as possible without drastically affecting your weight. Will you go up a couple pounds? Maybe. But you're probably also going to take those pounds right off if you cut out any bit of extra fast food or junk or any kind of thing like that. So yeah, you might gain a pound or two, but the performances that you're going to be able to put on when you are stronger, more explosive, faster, and you can keep that pace for 9, 15, 25 minutes, however long you're fighting, the performances you're going to put on are going to be well worth whatever minor changes in weight that you might experience. So one last time, have a plan. Stop just sparring and thinking that that's enough to build your conditioning, and stop avoiding the weight room. You need to get strong in order to get fast, in order to get powerful, anything like that. Strength is the baseline for success in sport, I promise you. So guys, that is it. That is all. I hope you got some good value out of this. As always, my big ask of you is, if you've tuned into the show before and you've gotten value, share it with a friend, share it with a teammate, share it with a coach, share it with someone who's going to need to hear this message. And on top of that too, leave a review for the show. Every one of those reviews, every time someone does that, that means the world. And those make a huge difference. My goal is to get this out in front of as many athletes as I can, and we do that through word of mouth. So guys, I appreciate you all. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I hope you've got some changes that you can make to your conditioning right now to take it to the next level. And I will catch you on the next episode.